So previously we already made a box and tray combo for our beautiful precious dice, but you know, sometimes dice just don't want to act the way they should. They just keep rolling natural ones, one after another. So they need a timeout, and we'll make them a beautiful little dice jail for them to sit and rest and think about what they've done. My material of choice for this build is 5mm balsa wood because it's easy to cut and easy to manage. So, first step, I cut 4 hexagons out of the balsa wood, and because I cut them by hand and I'm not the best at measuring, they didn't come out as identical in shape as I would have liked. So, to fix that, I use a bit of hot glue at the center and glue them all together one on top of each other. And so I can send them off as one unit and make sure all the edges and the corners are in line with one another. Now, even though I didn't use that much hot glue, the pieces were still a bit hard to separate, but after some wedging and some finagling, I managed to take them apart. And the hot glue itself was actually very easy to remove from the wood. So in order to make the opening for the actual dice jail, I needed to know the center of the hexagons. To find out where that was, I simply connected the opposing corners with a straight line, and the point where they connected was the center. After I had my center, I just drew in a circle with the compass, and I just guesstimated the size. Removing the inner circle took a bit of finagling to do, but it can easily be done with just an X-Acto knife. I used a bit of Dremel and drilled in some holes just to have some leeway on the inside, but honestly, I don't think that was even that important. It's very easy to cut balsa wood if you go with the grain, so I recommend doing that at the center and just start out by removing big chunks. You don't have to be accurate about it. And when you get closer to the edges, that's when you want to be a bit more refined. Oh, and don't be like me and use a ton of force in trying to save time by cutting it faster, because it doesn't work. Balsa wood is soft, yes, but it's also brittle and it can easily break. Just use multiple passes on it and it will cut out just fine. If you want to go in full monkey brain on this, you do it at your own risks. Though, to be fair, it's nothing that a bit of glue doesn't fix. Once I had my inside circle cut out and it was looking acceptable, I started sanding it, and here's a pro tip. Glue in sandpaper on a round thing. It makes sanding inside circles a lot easier. After having all the pieces nicely sanded, I could then glue them to each other. And I ended up with these 2 pieces. After I let the glue fully dry for a full day or so, I came back in and sanded the edges again, so they would be flush with each other. And as an extra nice little touch, I also sanded the edges of the balsa wood to have a nice little taper. There is a lot of sanding in this project. Now, staying true to myself, I started off by measuring each corner and the center of it to know where I want the poles of the jail to be. And I gave up halfway through and eyeballed it. I don't have a problem. I swear. After I had all my spots very accurately marked, I started drilling in the holes where the wooden dowels will sit. And that's where I found the first major flaw with balsa wood. And that is, it doesn't really drill very well. It kind of tears up, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't pretty, but I'm okay with it. Nothing that a bit of wood putty doesn't fix. Now, after all the very beautiful holes were drilled, I put in some wood glue inside and basically shoved the wooden dowels. And I didn't wait for this glue to dry before I tried to assemble the top piece, because I wanted to have some wiggle room with the wooden dowels, because of the fact that I'm not very accurate. And it took some finagling, but it got in there. It worked okay-ish. And that's all I really strive for. Now that everything was assembled, it was time to take care of the gaps that were formed by the drill. So, with the use of some wood putty, I filled in all the gaps and any imperfections in the wood. And when it dried, I just sanded it flush. Now, as usual, I was too lazy to go buy a wood stain, so I mixed oil paints with some deck oil to create a homemade stain. Why did I use my finger for this step? I don't know. When making your own stain, I recommend having a scrap piece of wood next to you so you can test it and see if you need to add more pigment or dilute it more. I don't have any real method to putting on the stain on the wood. I just slobber it on like a barbaric madwoman and hope for the best. One thing I do keep in mind is, however, to wipe off any excess, cause I want the wood grain to show and I don't want it to be sticky and take forever to dry. After we wait 24 years for the stain to dry, it's time to make the jail a bit fancier. Just because it's a place for your naughty dice to learn a lesson doesn't mean we need to treat them any less than the princesses they are. So I spread a bit of PVA glue at the bottom and place inside a felt circle I cut from before. And there we are! An overall pretty simple and fun project to do, as long as you don't mind a lot of sanding. I stand firm on my belief that balsa wood is one of the best materials to work with. It is just so versatile, it's soft, it's easy to work with, it's just, it's so good. Oh, and if you're wondering about its durability and how strong it is, I wouldn't worry on that part, considering how many times I had to flip it over to get this one shot. I'd say it's pretty durable. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye! Really? Really? Where are these rolls during the sessions? God damn it. Okay, go. What? What? What is happening? I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done. Ah! Alright, that's it. We're bringing all of them. Bringing all of them. I just wanted to shoot an intro where I roll dice badly. But no, my dice decides to roll goodly this time. But when it's in the session, double natural ones for the win. There we go. Now that's more like it. 1, 4, 5, 4. Natural 20, natural... Oh my god, is that the third natural 20? Really? You get my point.